There are plenty of great quarterback wide receiver duos in today's NFL, and you can start to think which duos belong in today's video and which do not. And unfortunately, there are only 5 quarterback wide receiver duos, so to be clear, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce will not be in today's video, but inevitably it will leave a couple of fan bases pissed off that their quarterback and receiver did not make the cut. When sitting down and thinking about this, it is incredibly difficult to keep it to just 5, as think about several quarterback receiver duos, from Mahomes and Juju, from Carr and Adams, to Russ and Sutton, to Allen and Diggs, Burrow and Chase, and you get the point, right? It's incredibly difficult to keep it to just 5, and because of that, there will be a just missed at the end, and there is a lot to dive into, so without further ado, let's begin. And we're going to start today's video with Raiders quarterback Derek Carr and new receiver Davante Adams. There is not going to be any footage of the two because, well, they haven't played together yet at the NFL level, and I don't have any Fresno State 2013 tape to show of the two previously connecting. But with Carr and Adams, they come in at 5, and I think they have the most room to grow out of any of the duos in today's video for a couple of reasons. Derek and Davante wanted to be teammates and wanted this to work out. And there was something that came out a couple of days ago that said Davante had been wanting to get to the Raiders for a few years now, but my point is here, they wanted to be teammates. Not to say Tom Brady and Mike Evans dislike each other, or Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen have to sit on the other side of the room, because I'm not, but I do think there is a difference when teammates wake up very much looking forward to going to work, and ultimately this fall, go to war with their brothers. And Davante Adams is without a doubt one of the best receivers in football, as over the past 2 years he's put up a combined 238 receptions for over 2,900 yards and 29 touchdowns, which I don't have to tell you guys, is insane production. And if you guys did not know, this was with Davante without playing a full 16 or 17 game season in either of those years, so in theory he could have padded his numbers even more. And I'm not the biggest Derek Carr guy, admittedly, but with Derek there is a great leader, a guy with a relentless work ethic and a relentless drive, and he will keep Davante successful. They are also in the AFC West, which will only benefit the two of them specifically, because you'd have to think there's going to be a lot of points scored and a lot of points put up every week, meaning the Raiders will need to throw the football to keep up with other teams. I think this duo has the most room to grow throughout the 2022 season, but for today's video we have them coming in at number 5. And coming in at number 4 is Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, and over the first 2 years the two have played together, they've been pretty good, I would say, as Justin only has a little over 3,000 receiving yards and the most in NFL history through the first 2 seasons of any player's career. He has back-to-back 1,400-yard years, with 2021 being his first of what we expect to be at this point multiple 100-catch, 1,500-yard seasons, and even had double-digit touchdowns last year as well. There's not a lot to say about this duo other than Kirk is good and Justin is one of the best in the entire NFL. Period. Teams game plan against him knowing what's coming, and he still gives it to them week in and week out. And heading into 2021, I'm sure there was a little hesitation with Jefferson, as maybe he got lucky a few games, and he'd have to back it up in 2021 and prove that 2020 wasn't just, beginner's luck. And Jefferson did exactly that by having 20 more catches, over 200 more yards, and 3 more touchdowns than his already impressive year number 1. And over the past few years, there's been a lot of volatility with the public opinion on Kirk Cousins, where some Vikings fans will try and put him in the top 7 or 8 or 9 quarterbacks and say he's a Super Bowl-less Matt Stafford, or right up there or even better than Dak Prescott, or whoever. Then there's the other side that will say, I hate him for the contract and he's a richer Jared Goff. However, I think we're at a good point in time with the public opinion on Kirk Cousins, as people acknowledge he is a good quarterback, but not great, and he is exactly that. He has back-to-back 30-plus passing touchdown seasons and has several game-winning drives, but he's also not as good as some of the other quarterbacks we will discuss in today's video, and that is a big reason why we have Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson coming in at number 4. And this is where the order really starts to heat up, but next is Bengals duo Joe Burrow and JaMarr Chase. Burrow and JaMarr had quite the connection during the 2019 college season, and leading up to the start of the 2021 NFL season, There was a lot of controversy surrounding this selection because, God forbid, JaMarr Chase couldn't catch a football because of the way the NFL football itself is designed, and Penei Sewell, the player that should have been the selection, and everything in between. A year later and a Super Bowl appearance later, the selection of Chase is no longer in question, and generally an 81 catch, 1,455 yard, and 13 touchdown with not one but two 200-yard games rookie season puts any concerns to ease. The only concern isn't the right word, but the thing I will be paying attention to heading into Joe's third year and JaMarr's second year is how much focus defenses will put on JaMarr. And a lot of the concerns we had with Justin Jefferson entering 2021 are very much the same with JaMarr. And the phrase built different is used far too often in society as a whole, but these LSU receivers in Justin and JaMarr are in fact built different. And for Chase, like with Jefferson, what benefits him is having an offense that is stacked across the board. Double or triple team JaMarr? Fine. We'll run the ball 5 straight times with Joe Mixon and pick up 35 yards and 3 first downs with 30% of your defense focused on JaMarr. Or target T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd on consecutive plays when they win their one-on-ones in single coverage with the defense focus on JaMarr. And assuming both Burrow and Chase stay healthy, it really wouldn't surprise me if he has an 85 catch, 1,400 yard, 12 touchdown season, which is similar to what he had in year number 1. They are a deadly duo, and this is the type of duo everyone, myself included, loves projecting into the future because of how young and how truly good both of these guys are. And they come in today's video at number 3. From Cincinnati, we head to Western New York to discuss a good young quarterback in Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. With this duo, it starts with Josh Allen, and Josh has evolved from a project quarterback to one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL that everyone wants to have their own version of. Sure, he makes some bad decisions at times, but the peaks are as high as any quarterbacks in NFL history with the plays Josh makes. And Stefon Diggs as a route runner is absurd, and with how many weapons that are on the Bills team, including Josh himself as a runner, I feel like Stefon took a bit of a backseat in 2021 relative to what we saw him do in 2020. And over the first 2 years of these guys being teammates, Stefon has back-to-back 100-catch, 1,000-yard seasons, and cumulatively has 230 receptions for over 2,700 yards and 18 touchdowns. He wanted out of Minnesota to be featured more in an offense and has received exactly that. Unfortunately, they have been knocked out of the postseason by the Chiefs in each of the last 2 years, but in Allen and Diggs' first year together, Stefon led the NFL in both receptions and receiving yards. And these two will play countless difficult teams this year, and like with Derek and Davante, and Burrow and Chase for that matter as well, the Bills will throw the football more. And what's crazy is even in a down year, which was last year for Stefon relative to the expectations he has, he still had 103 receptions for over 1,200 yards, while other players like Dawson Knox and Gabriel Davis came into their own. And now that they have come into their own, I expect Stefon to have more of a 2020 type year this fall. He had just 2 100-yard games in 2021 and was still productive. But these two are two of the best at what they do, that is Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, and it will continue this fall. And they rank today's video at number 2. And finally, we have reached the number 1 duo heading into the season, and it is none other than Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. And for all of the great seasons guys had last year, like JaMarr in his rookie season, and like Mike Evans continuing his 1,000-yard streak, as crazy as this sounds, it's almost like Cooper Kupp's season is underrated because it wasn't talked about all that often, and Cooper Kupp did what a receiver had not done since 2005, which was win the Triple Crown and lead the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. The stat line Kupp finished with is video game-like, and for those that may not know, he had 145 receptions for 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. And anytime a player has over 14 or 1,500 yards, you think to yourself like, damn, that's an insanely good season. But Cooper casually had 400 more yards than what is already a very good season. The dude continuously gets open and defenses have the hardest time stopping it. And he had 11 100-yard games in the regular season and won the Super Bowl MVP, and for as good as other receivers are in the NFL, none are higher than Kupp entering 2022. You could argue his 2021 season is a top 3 or 4 most dominant ever, really aside from Randy Moss's record-setting 2007 season in which he had 23 touchdowns and Jerry Rice's 22 touchdown season way back in the day. I would argue Kupp's 2021 is better than Calvin Johnson's 2012 with the most receiving yards ever because Kupp had 11 more touchdowns than what Calvin had. And in their first season, this is, by the way, Stafford and Cooper made the most of it. It's not like this was 6 years in the making. It was the first fall playing together. And they come in today's video at number 1. Now for the duos that did not make it, we'll start with Tom Brady and Mike Evans, and if you wanted them to be put in, I'm fine with it, but Mike has barely notched 1,000 yards over the past 2 years, and I don't think he's better than Davante Adams or Justin Jefferson. I could see him having a big year due to Chris Godwin's injury, but we went with Carr and Davante over them. Dak and CD is another good duo, and so is Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, Russell Wilson and Courtland Sutton, Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown or DeAndre Hopkins for half the year, and last but certainly not least, Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill. This ranking was incredibly difficult, and a lot of these duos could have been in today's video. But anyways, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, now is the time I ask you to please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would truly mean the world. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.